Hi again everybody, and welcome back to another vlog update from my allotment. I hope you're all keeping well. I've not done a vlog update in over a week now, so I think it's about time that I do one. Quite a lot of things has changed over the last week or two. The weather's been much better for a start. I feel like things are slowly starting to recover now and pick up. I feel like things are starting to grow now. Famous last words. But no, I do think things are slowly improving now, so we'll have a look at those later. But I think we do still have a couple of problems in a couple of areas. No prizes for guessing where those problems are. If you've been watching the previous videos, I'm sure you'll know, you'll be able to guess. So let's have a look at what's going on this week. Okay, here we go. So we'll start off the same way we did in last week's update, and we'll start with the onions. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, the onions have not moved. At least the ones in this bed haven't anyway. I suppose they have a little bit, but these are way behind what they should be for this time of year. I blame all these wood shavings in the horse manure, and I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100%, but I suspect that these wood shavings may even be treated, because it's they're horse bedding. It's been used for bedding with horses, because it's just not breaking down. All the horse manure itself has broken down, and it's just these shavings that are left. And I think it's stealing nitrogen from the soil. I mean, I should know better really. I knew this already. I knew what wood shavings did in the soil, but when I put this horse manure on last autumn, it didn't look like there were much shavings in it at all really. It just looked like dark horse muck. I couldn't really see any shavings in there. I just threw it on. It was a big mistake. I mean, I'm not using horse manure again anyway. I've banned it on my allotment. But yeah, now we're paying the consequences because of this wood shavings. And there's a couple of other problems as well, like the aminopyralid. Real pain in the butt, but I think that's why these onions aren't really doing anything, because of the lack of nitrogen in there. Anyway, we'll move on to the leeks. The leeks are looking brilliant. They're coming along really nicely. Really happy with those. We do have some more there, which we may throw in somewhere when we've got space. Now, the other onion bed at the front, I think these are slowly coming along now, very slowly. I think we may get some onions from this bed, but for the most part, they don't look very good at all, to be honest. I need to have another de-weeding session in here. There's a lot of these weeds. I blame the horse manure for that again, the weed seeds. There's a lot of weed seeds in the horse manure. So yeah, very, very slow with the onions here at the front. But we'll go round to the other onion bed, because there are 3 onion beds. So let's have a look at the other one. There we go. So here we are. We are slowly moving with these ones. These are doing much better. Look at that. I mean, they're not huge and they are still behind, but they're a heck of a lot better than the ones over there. Really interesting. And interestingly, there is no horse manure in here with wood shavings in. And look at the difference. So that just tells you, doesn't it? I'm pretty sure it's the wood shavings that are causing the issues over there. But yeah, we'll know for next time. No horse manure next year at all, whatsoever. So yeah, these ones are doing much better. Okay, we've just moved over to the courgette beds, and once again, yellowing of leaves, nitrogen deficiency, wood shavings. I feel like a bit of an idiot, to be honest, this year with this. I mean, I should know better, like I said before, and you know, I know this. I know that wood shavings depletes the soil of nitrogen as it breaks down, but I didn't think there was that many wood shavings in the horse manure. Big mistake. There again, the new growth looks much more green, so I think they are coming along here. These are the climbing courgettes. So apart from the couple of leaves there which are a bit yellow, they don't look too bad at all really. And I think they will start climbing up this support system very soon. On the other side, we have some more courgettes. These are the bush varieties. We actually have 3 on this side. One of them is non-existent over there. That's just been devastated by slugs. But the other 2 look pretty nice. I'm quite happy with those. They've definitely come on since last week. So yeah, good progress with the courgettes. Just a little bit of yellowing on those older leaves, but the new growth looks all right there. So if you remember in one of my previous videos a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the aminopyralid herbicide in the horse manure, and there's been an investigation ongoing now for the last couple of weeks trying to find out where it's come from. We know that there were a few people dropping this horse manure off, around 3 or 4 different suppliers, and one supplier in particular was dropping off a lot of stuff with wood shavings in it. Funnily enough, I have quite a few batches with wood shavings on my plot, and the aminopyralid seems to be coming from those beds. So apparently he's been banned from the site. He doesn't have a key to get in anymore, and the person left who does drop the horse manure off, now we've approached them and asked them, and they don't put any herbicide anywhere near the manure. They don't spray any of their fields with herbicides. I'm still not using horse manure moving forward because there are other negatives which I'm noticing at the moment. So yeah, I just thought I'd give you a bit of an update of what's happening with that situation. So yeah, let's continue with the update. Okay, let's have a look at the carrots. Now, we've had loads of problems with carrots and slugs this year. It's been ridiculous. The slugs have been just savages this year, and I've made about 3 or 4 sowings of carrots now. It's quite ridiculous. Anyway, we do have some plants growing happily here. You know, we will get some carrots from here, providing that the carrot root fly don't spoil the fun for us. I am keeping an eye on them. This netting isn't thin enough. It's not fine enough, sorry. They probably will get through that. The bed is raised, but I have found a couple of carrot root fly in here. I did have some slug traps in here, but I had to remove those because they were just stunk to high heaven. And if you've ever been on a night out in Blackpool, you'll know what I mean. It absolutely stunk. So I had to remove those. I need to put some fresh ones in. But yeah, those are doing all right, I suppose, but half of them have been nibbled by slugs. I've actually sown some more here in the gaps, although it is quite late. Our other carrot bed, similar story with that. I've sown some more in these gaps again, but of course the slugs will probably just come and bulldoze them. Yeah, quite a few carrots growing in there, happily. At least I probably won't have to thin them out because the slugs have already done that for me. So that saves me one job. That's the only good thing about the slugs. They will thin the carrots out for me. I can be rest assured of that. Okay, we'll go over here. We'll have a look at the runner beans. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that the runner beans were a victim of the aminopyralid herbicide, and we actually had to move, excuse the mess, we actually had to move the runner beans out of this bed and move them over here, which was a bit inconvenient. Wasn't too happy about it. You know, it was a bit of faffing around. I don't like faffing around too much, but they're in here now. They've been in here now, how long now? About I think it's been about 3 weeks now. And yeah, I suppose they are slowly coming on. Those are starting to climb up there. Same on the other side. They are slowly starting to climb. I've sown some more in pots in the greenhouse as just a backup, just in case. And I've direct sown some more again in case as well. I think we will get a crop. It's just a question of how much of a crop will we get. We will see. Hopefully through July these will really start picking up and they'll climb up here. Next to those we have our dwarf beans. These were looking quite yellow, but they are looking much more lush now. Again, wood shavings from the horse manure. It seems to be a common theme, doesn't it? Wood shavings and yellowing plants. I know exactly what's going on. Anyway, they don't look as yellow now. They are looking much better and they are picking up. There's flowers on there. There's even a few beans popping up on them actually. So that's good. That's a good sign. So yeah, they're not doing too bad. Interestingly, there's no aminopyralid herbicide damage on those. Now, the bed which we had the runner beans in, which we very inconveniently had to move, they have the buckets of potatoes on them and they're all starting to flower now. I've actually topped them up with compost as well because I only had them about 2/3 full. I've topped quite a few of them up wherever I could. They're falling over all over the place. It looks a bit of a mess, but they're really, really healthy plants. I think that's down to the Vitax potato fertiliser. It seems to be giving us some really good results this year. Really happy with how they're looking. More over here. It's just a jungle of potatoes. Really healthy plants. I'm really happy with those. More flowers again. So these are going to be really thirsty over the coming weeks. Once they start flowering, they take up a lot of water. Then petubers are starting to grow rapidly now. So yeah, I'm going to be kept on my toes with these over the coming weeks, watering them, I'm sure. Okay, let's come over here. This is the bed where we had our garlic outdoors. And yeah, we do have a courgette in there which looks not that great. Well, I had to pick one off because it wasn't growing correctly. It all started rotting. We planted some pumpkins and a couple of spare squashes in there, but they're not doing much at the moment. We've got some crown prince pumpkins and some, I think there's a couple of butternut squashes in there as well. We'll see what they do. Not doing much at the moment though. And I actually had some seed potatoes left. It is a little bit late. It is really late to be planting main crop potatoes, I know, but I just threw these in here. I'm trying a method of growing them the lazy way, and I've just covered them in a thick layer of straw. I mean, that's fine. I'm not expecting much, to be honest, because it is really late. We might get some potatoes for Christmas, possibly. We'll see what happens there. I just threw them in because I had some space. We have our elephant garlic here. I've actually taken the flower heads off them to focus the energy on the bulb itself. We've got our lettuce bed over here. Yeah, these are bolting now. I'm not surprised because it has been quite warm for a good week or so. We've had some quite warm weather. There again, some of them are still okay. We can still harvest from a few of them. I may sow some more actually. I'm going to sow some more in July. Hopefully we can get some more. We've got a rocket along here which isn't doing much at all. Okay, let's have a look at our broccoli. I'm not too impressed with the broccoli really, to be fair. It's been attacked by the slugs, but that's not the main issue. The main issue is how the plants are so small and they're already trying to produce broccoli heads. That's a bit concerning. Usually the plants would be much bigger than this before they try to produce broccoli. So it seems to be that the plants have become stressed, and I think they're just bolting, that they're trying to produce seed too early. And yeah, you can see over there, that one, it's sort of just like a button. I think there's a term for that. I think it's called buttoning, is it, if I'm correct? Or is that just with cauliflower? It's where there's only a tiny little cauliflower head or a tiny broccoli head. I'm expecting that from here really. I'm not expecting much. So yeah, broccoli, we're probably just going to end up with tiny little heads of broccoli there, which is a bit disappointing, but you know, you win some and you lose some. It's just the way it is, isn't it? Okay, I've kind of neglected the pea bed, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I've let it go a bit wild. But despite this, they seem to be doing really well. If you remember my video a couple of months ago, an update, these were doing nothing for ages and they were really slow to get going. But yeah, we've got some peas there. I need to pick some of those. Yeah, I'm going to pick some of those because they are big enough now. I've already picked a few. The ones at the front are still a bit off yet. There's loads of pods on there. That's really good. These are only a dwarf variety as well, so they only grow to this height anyway. Yeah, plenty of peas on there, so that's a good result, I think. Quite happy with those. These peas have been my favourite snack to potter around the allotment. I'll just pick one of these off and I'll start eating them straight from the pods down at the allotment. They're so sweet, absolutely delicious. Nothing like the garden peas which you buy in the supermarket from the frozen aisle. Just so much better. Really, really lovely. Okay, so the broccoli didn't look very good. Let's have a look at how the cabbages are doing. Of course, there's some slug damage there. That one looks all right there. Not looking too bad at all, really. They're not starting to heart up yet. Probably planted them a bit too close together. But yeah, not too bad at all, really. Not too bad at all. I'm quite happy with how they're doing in there. Let's have a look at the beetroot. The beetroot, some of them are continuing to bolt. I'm just picking them out as I'm seeing them. So yeah, not great. Some of them look all right. You know, there's some nice ones. There is some nice ones growing, so that's okay. But I'm not happy with how many are bolting. You know, there are a few that are bolting in there. I'm just assuming that they're stressed. You know, we've had a wild roller coaster of weather this year, as with most years, to be fair. Interestingly though, the ones that I direct sowed along here aren't bolting, whereas the ones which are sowed in modules in the greenhouse are. So that tells me that something's going on there. I think, like last year, this happened last year, you'd think I'd learned my lesson. Last year I had an issue where the modules were drying out, and whenever they dried out, then plants would then bolt later on. So maybe I just need to direct sow them next year, or be more careful and make sure they don't dry out. Yeah, the direct sown ones are looking much better than the multi-sown ones. So our sweet corn, interestingly, they seem to be doing all right, actually. Some of them are a bit smaller, you know, and I'm really surprised actually that the slug damage is really minimal on these. You know, there's only a tiny bit, and yeah, the plants themselves aren't doing too bad at all, really. So yeah, I think the sweet corn's doing all right. It's a bit of a mess in this corner. I've done my potato harvesting over here. Harvested some first and second earlies last week. I've still got a few buckets left over there. So I want to go and have a look at the sweet peas. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that the sweet peas were taking absolutely forever to grow. They weren't doing anything for ages, and it's now the end of June, just getting into July, and they're only just starting to flower. We're just starting to see the first flowers there. Barely. You know, it is flowers though, it's a positive sign. And yeah, some of them have taken off. Not that many, I'd usually expect more. But interestingly, a few other people on the allotment site are having the same issues with their sweet peas. And they're saying it's been the worst year for them. So I'm not the only one here. It seems to be a thing with the weather. There are a few doing all right on this side. Not many, but there are a few. I've planted a few of these annual flowers on the front there, but I'm sure the slugs will take care of those for me. A few more over here. We have one sunflower which is just clinging on for dear life, and the slugs are having a good go on that, even though it's about 3 feet off the ground. But yeah, the slugs will stop at nothing. Our other sweet pea support over here, there's nothing going on here at all. These are just terrible. They're not even growing. They're just still small. Again, wood shavings. I'm telling you now, it's the wood shavings that are causing a lot of these issues, as well as the aminopyralid with other things. Now, I'd just like to show you the raspberries this year. Now, usually these raspberries don't do much, and I have to say, it's a massive mess. It's actually sharing the same bed as these rhubarb. The rhubarb hasn't done very well this year, but the raspberries have done really well. It's a mess, and to be honest, I'd rather organise it. I do want to have them growing up supports if I can, you know, nice and neat. It's just a crazy jungle of raspberries. But we've been harvesting loads of these, and these have been really nice this year. So yeah, it's not very easy to get in there and pick stuff, but you know, I've had a good few big pickings this year, and there's still more on there. They just keep throwing out raspberries. The birds are even eating them, and there's still enough for me. So yeah, raspberries are doing really well, but I want to move these. I want to do something that's a bit more organised than this for next year, if possible. Okay, we'll just go over this. This is the last thing outside before we go into the greenhouses and see what's going on in there. This is the parsnip bed, and yeah, these have come along really well lately. These have just taken off. They're looking really good. I actually chitted these on damp paper towel and then planted the sprouted seeds in here, and they grew much faster than just direct sowing. So they're looking really nice. We should have some nice parsnips come Christmas time, hopefully. Now, the strawberry bed, apart from being overridden by weeds, the strawberry plants themselves have done terrible this year in here. They've got this membrane on the floor there, and I planted them in the holes which I've put in, and we had a really wet winter, and I think that's why the plants have done really bad. The soil underneath has just become waterlogged. It's quite clayey anyway. There are a couple of strawberries in there, but not many at all. Nothing to write home about. So I'm probably going to have to rip this up and redo something in here for next year, because these plants are just goners. Whereas the hanging basket strawberries and the strawberries in this raised bed here have done much better. Same in these buckets as well. I've got another strawberry bed at the other side of the plot too. That's given us a good crop of strawberries. But what I found is the slugs. Oh my goodness, the slugs have just gone crazy on the strawberries. Okay, let's go in the small polytunnel. Last time we looked in here, last week, there wasn't much growth at all. It was a bit disappointing. We actually have our garlic in here, which we harvested last week, drying in here. It's dried pretty nicely. I'm going to have to move that before I cook it. I don't want to cook it. I'm just trying to dry it. The sweet potatoes in these buckets are looking really good. They've done amazing actually, and they're all starting to climb around these supports which I put there. Looking really, really good, those. The butternut squashes, which I've got up these supports, there wasn't much movement last week, but they do seem to be moving now. They definitely are bigger than last week, so that's good. Same with that one over there. I've got 4 in here at the moment. The watermelons died. I don't even know what happened with those, but I had a couple of tomato plants, so I've just stuck them in there so no space is wasted. There's a couple of cucumbers there which look terrible, they're not doing much. I've thrown a few more tomatoes in here, they don't look very good. These are determinate varieties, Tiny Tim. And the phasalis, which we pinched out last week, already the side shoots starting to appear on there, which is really, really quick. They didn't take long at all to start sending side shoots once I pinched them out. The aubergines along the side of here, bit slow to be honest. There's not much movement with those. Yeah, some of the fruits are just rotting. That's probably just the cool weather, to be honest. That's probably just the cool weather, to be honest. Aubergines don't set fruit very well then when the weather is unfavourable. I think they are starting to try to set fruit anyway. We'll see what happens with those. And we have some more sweet potatoes on this side, but these aren't doing as much. They're not as good as the ones over there in the buckets. I actually planted the entire sweet potato in here. I had a few sweet potato slips left on the potatoes. I just planted the entire potatoes in there, and that's what these are. And we'll just see what they do there. Hopefully they start to come on soon. So that's the small polytunnel. I think there's been a bit of growth since last week, so we are slowly starting to move there. Now, as for the rest of the things in here, we've just got loads of things which we need to plant. Some things. These sprouts need to go out when the elephant garlic is harvested. Yes, it's very late, and yes, we may not get much in the way of sprouts. These plants are tiny. I usually plant the sprouts outside much earlier than this, but I've just not had space. But anyway, we'll get these out in July, and hopefully they get to a good size and then give us some sprouts for Christmas. But we'll see. I'm not really expecting much from these now. It is a bit late to put them out. We've got another tomato plant there, Alice's Dream, which we managed to salvage. We've had a bit of a disaster with the aminopyralid, but we've salvaged the heritage variety there. I do like Alice's Dream. It's a really nice variety, one of my favourites. Really, really good tasting tomato. And then it's just all the F1 hybrids along here, all strung up, doing pretty well. I've got a funky Black Beauty tomato here. He's looking really, really funky. I think it's a Black Beauty tomato anyway. Yeah, there's a few fruits starting to pop up on them now. Plenty of flowers on the go. I'm a bit concerned about this on the hybrids. I'm not too sure if that's heat stress. You know, it has been very hot the last few days, getting up to 30 degrees Celsius outside. But yeah, I don't like the look of that. I do not like the look of that at all. We have had some aminopyralid problems in the polytunnel. Have we had some in here? Because there is a little bit of manure in the bottom of these buckets. I was thinking that we might have escaped the aminopyralid with these, but this doesn't look very good to me. We'll see anyway. They don't look too bad apart from that. There are plenty of flowers. There are fruits starting to grow on them. So we'll see. If this is aminopyralid, then I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'll probably quit gardening for a bit. Honestly though, I won't be very happy at all. But anyway, that's the big greenhouse, and that's what's going on in there. It's looking much less crazy than it was a few weeks ago. I've had a good tidy up in there. So yeah, here we are in the big polytunnel. Big polytunnel here. The mini munch cucumbers are on this side. They weren't really doing much for a while, but it looks like they are starting to take off a little bit there. They are starting to grow. We've already picked some mini munch cucumbers. They seem to be very keen to give us fruit, but they are not really keen to grow any bigger. But I'm sure they'll get going very soon. They always do. The pepper plants on the left side of the polytunnel look really good. They're just continuing to grow. I've given them a feed again this week. That one over there looks really small, despite the fact that it's got fruits on it. I don't know what's going on there. All the other plants have just got fruits on them. They're doing all right. This one looks really good. There's some nice fruits growing on there. But annoyingly, and this is a real pain, it seems to happen every year, quite a few of them are getting nibbled on. What is that? What is that? That I do not want. I do not want that. And it's quite a few of them. And I don't think it's slugs. I think it's something else. Maybe earwig. The nibbling holes all over the pepper plant leaves. Yeah, I mean the plants don't look too bad. But these holes, what is that all about? Come on. And then holes in the actual peppers themselves, and then they start to rot. This is not what we need at all. So yeah, good few looking fruits on the grow there, but there are a few that have holes in, which is a real pain. Like, why is that happening? Really, really annoying. And then as for the other side of the polytunnel, we removed some of the aminopyralid affected tomatoes, and we had some sweet corn left, which we just threw in here. Sweet corn is unaffected by aminopyralid, so we threw those in there. This tomato still seems to be growing despite the aminopyralid. I'm wondering if this one will give us a crop. It doesn't look as bad as the other ones, like this one. Look at the state of that one. Textbook aminopyralid there, and there as well. There have been quite a few people on the allotment site which have been doubting that it's aminopyralid. I'm not too sure why. I mean, if that's not aminopyralid, then I don't even know what is. Some people have even said it's the weather, which is really funny, because if it was the weather, then the tomatoes in the greenhouses and all the other tomatoes where I'm growing elsewhere would be the same as this, surely. So I just don't believe that. It's definitely aminopyralid. So yeah. Anyway, we're not going to go over that anymore. That's the same as it was last week. And that's the big polytunnel. Right, we've got some lovely blueberries on the go here. We got some lovely blueberries last year. Looks like we're going to get some nice ones again this year, but I'll have to net these over very soon because the birds will be all over these. Anyway, we'll move on into this small greenhouse, which is the last one. It's the last part of the plot now. And yeah, these are doing really well in here. These tomatoes, probably the best tomatoes in the allotment. I mean, it won't take much to do that because, you know, we've had a lot of problems with the herbicide. But yeah, really happy with these. There's some really nice fruits appearing here. Nice cherry tomatoes. These are only cherry tomatoes, by the way. So they're much easier to grow than your beefsteaks. So yeah, look at the marigolds. A companion planted the marigolds alongside the tomatoes, and just look at that. The marigolds seem to be doing just as good as the tomatoes. The basil's doing pretty nicely as well. It's actually flowering there. I don't think I want that to happen, because does that not mean that they're going to start slowing down? Hopefully not. Yeah, we've got more tomatoes, more marigold going crazy over there. So yeah, good result in here. This is probably the best greenhouse in the allotment at the moment. Pretty much perfect at the moment in here. So yeah, I'm really happy with how things are doing in here. Okay, so that's the allotment this week, and nothing looks perfect, far from it. In fact, you know, things could always be better, but I have to say things are looking better than they were last week. Things are slowly starting to pick up now, slowly, and make an improvement. Particularly the onions, some of them are starting to improve, and the sweet peas, some of them are starting to flower now and show some signs of improvement. There's no changes with the herbicide. The tomatoes and the polytunnel are still goners, and I'm even starting to worry a little bit about the tomatoes in the greenhouse, in the buckets, because the tops of them aren't looking great. I'm not too sure what's going on. Possibly heat stress, it could just be that, but we're going to keep a close eye on that. The weather has been much drier over the last week, so slug damage has tapered off a little bit, and the strawberries do seem to be getting nibbled by slugs a lot though, which is a little bit annoying at the moment. We had a potato harvest last week. If you've not watched that, you can watch that by clicking here, by the way. Really good potato reveal, potato harvest, first and second earlies. I'm really happy with how those are done. So yeah, that's this week on the allotment. I do hope you enjoyed this little vlog update. If you did, then remember, hit that like button. It does help out a lot. And if you've got a passion for gardening and want to learn to grow your own food, or perhaps you're wanting to get an allotment and you're looking for inspiration, then hit the subscribe button and press that bell icon, and you'll never miss whenever I upload new videos every single week. So thanks for watching this week's vlog update. I'll see you in the next video. Happy gardening and stay safe.